My name is Tiara Gendi. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm a transgender activist and a human rights defender working with the LGBTI community.
My name is Alana Jessica Candice. Over the summer, I just came out to myself as a trans woman. And then I started presenting as a woman this August. And then after a while, I needed to just be living as a woman first and just kind of relax into the name change. And I figured it would come when it did, and it did. I had the day where I needed the change, and I made this whole big name change post on Facebook, and my name is changed on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And my mom is friends with me on Facebook. And she hearted it and said love you or something like that. So I assume she knows. Whether or not she has relayed that information to my dad is another story, because he is not on Facebook. And we're not snuggle buddies, we're not that close. So I didn't tell them that independent of the post.
I've always known that I was sort of different in quotes, but I just didn't know how different I was from everyone else. So to really be specific, I think when I was growing up, I've always felt like I was a girl, and I was okay with it and I loved it. And I think I would say my childhood was I really got a very fair childhood experience. I got to play with girls and I got to play with guys as well. But I would find each time I was around my female friends, I really felt like I belonged there. I really felt at home. I really felt comfortable. And each time I would hang out with my male friends, I really felt like I was the only girl amongst the guys. And there was not really much of a problem with it, with me or other people, but I also think it was because maybe everyone sort of thinks it's okay for a young child to behave anyhow, because everyone sort of assumes that people will grow out of it. And unfortunately for me, I never grew out of it. So that's how I just knew I was different, but I didn't have a term or a label to put to it. It's only after you've sort of grown up, when people start talking about it and pointing it out to you and giving you these names to say, oh, the way you're acting like a girl, I think you're going to be gay. And that's when you start asking, what is gay? And then you start looking for these labels and start actually putting names to things. But I think I've pretty much known all my entire life that I was this way.
All of my friends have been very good. All people at school, very, very good. I would even say that I kind of get treated a little bit better after coming out since before. I don't know why that is. Random people say hi to me that never said hi to me before. I have rarely come into anything. I work in Manhattan, so I am traveling all the time. I have not had a single bad instance traveling yet, or nothing violent, I've heard some words, but I think the way people treat me has been the biggest thing for me, because my friends taking more consideration, and just people colleagues and stuff, taking more consideration into how I might feel about certain things concerning my transition was really nice to me, because it kind of does show you how much people care for you, based on how gentle they are with my transition.
My first challenge that I would want to talk about is freedom of expression. You can't really express yourself as you want or as you feel you would want to, and as well as harassment, be it verbally or physically, and also rejection from family members, community members, and some friends, church members as well, and some physical assault as well. Okay, at some point I was attacked by 6 guys simply because of having a very feminine hairstyle. What is considered a feminine hairstyle that a normal guy would not have. So I was attacked for that. And I think the second time, after my pictures were leaked out, I sort of ran into a couple of guys who really disapproved of me being in makeup and wearing wigs and dresses. And they slipped me up a little bit, just to show their disapproval of who I am or how I choose to express myself.
I knew I was different from day one. Square off, fresh out the bat, fresh out the womb. I was. I'm surprised I didn't come out holding like a little poster board that said like different. I've always been different. I've always been like, and not even just in terms of like femininity. I've always just been the problem child because I have a twin brother for direct comparison on everything that I am. I have to give almost like myself props for how I presented myself before coming out, because it was never a secret that I was very feminine, and unlike other gay men, like I was still very, very like womanly, even in my gay male form, if that's what we'll call that. So I don't think it was a huge shock when I came out. That's also why I think it's been very easy for me. It's because I've been very womanly even before coming out. He has been like basically aware of how I am, so I guess this was probably a natural next step for him, for me. But when we were younger, he didn't take it quite as well, because I think he wanted like a brother, you know, like it was a 11-year-old boy with his 11-year-old sibling that was supposed to be his brother. Like, I could see why he would want a brother to, like, you know, beat the shit out of and like that kind of thing. And I almost feel bad that I couldn't give that to him, because like if we had known sister from day one, it would have been a different relationship.
You find being trans or being LGBTI and being in Zimbabwe, to be specific, where I live, you can't really be very expressive of yourself. So I find the only way you can really meet other people of like-minded like you is through social media. So at that time, I was really younger than I am now, and I was on Facebook. I met this guy on Facebook. We decided to meet in person, and he was cute. I liked him and he liked me, and so we decided to go. He invited me out for a party after a few days. So when we met to go to that party, on our way we were passing through a neighborhood that had no electricity, and it was at night. So we bumped into this guy who was sitting like by the side road. Like, so he said, "Oh, hi," I was like, "Hi," and we just kept on walking. He said, "No, you guys wait, I need to talk to you about something." So since both of us didn't know him, and it was late at night, and we couldn't stop for him, so we just kept on walking. So the more we kept on walking, the more he started following us. So we tried running, and the more we started running, and the more he started following. That's when he just thought, oh, he said, "You guys, you think you're clever," so he just stopped and he pulled out his cell phone and he called some other people. And I think 5 guys came out from the maize fields, and they surrounded us and said, "Okay, why do you have that hairstyle? That is a hairstyle for women, and you're a man, so why do you have that hairstyle?" So I tried explaining myself to say, "No, I'm just a person who really loves playing around with fashion and love fashion, and that's why I had that hairstyle." But for them, they really thought to say, "Okay, this hairstyle is too feminine for a guy, and therefore I am gay." So you'll find as much as they tried to confront me about it, I was not willing to admit it. So I kept on saying, "No, I'm not." So the more I tried to explain myself to them, it sort of annoyed them. So they started beating me and the other guy that I was with. So they managed to take away our phones and small money that we had. So it was that after that had happened, they sort of got into an argument amongst themselves. And it was that during that time when this other guy that I had met said to me, "You know what, we're really in deep trouble now. And the only way for us to survive this thing is for him to run away in the opposite direction, and hopefully all of them could follow him. And if that happened, I was supposed to run in the opposite direction as well and go and look for help." So he ran away in the opposite direction, and fortunately enough, for all of them went after him. So I ran in the opposite direction to go and look for help. So after I met this elderly man who was trying to help, as we were walking towards the direction where my friend had ran into, you could actually see them from a distance. They had actually caught up with him, and he was laying on the ground, and they were kicking him and beating him up. And then a white van came, and so they put him into the van and they drove off. So for me, this is someone that I just met on social media. I don't know anything about him really. So there was not really any way of me trying to check on him to see whether he got home or what. But after that elderly man escorted me to a police station, and he left me at the gate of the police station. So the most interesting part is when I walked into the police station. Of course, I always dress in a rather feminine way. So as I walked into the police station and I tried to report my case, no one was really interested in attending to me. I just got up and I went home. And when I got home, I just told my mom what had happened. But then after that, it really became a burden for me, even up to now. It's something that I will always live with. because I will never know what happened to that other guy. Ever since that day or that night, his Facebook account has never been active up until now.
So as for dirty looks on the ferry or on the train or something, so there's the people that are looking at me like in a bad way, like you could tell that it's bad. It's like a what the fuck is that kind of look, or possibly angry or something like that. So that's one type of look. I try to avoid them as much as possible. Like I just gonna try to stay about my business. But if someone's actually making me very uncomfortable or like starts talking or something, if it's on the train, I'll usually get up and switch cars or transfer trains or something. And then so that's the first type of look. The second type of look is like sex look, like it's like I want to hit that kind of thing. So here's the thing with those. I either completely avoid it and I'm just like yick, or I play into it and I'll like smile or something, and kind of tug them along and then just leave. They don't do it. I obviously am not gonna go like get some train guy, my Prince Charming of the A train, like not gonna come. And I wait until I'm leaving. That's fine. And that's not just a plague of trans womanhood, that's a plague of womanhood. Like girls have to deal with that shit all the time. So I am not discluded from that, and it happens a lot. The only looks that actually bother me are right in the middle of those two, and it's when I can't decipher which one of, if it's an angry look or if it's a sex look. It's usually like a look of confusion, and you can't tell which way it's gonna go. Those are the looks that concern me. The angry looks, depending on who the person is, you either completely avoid them, or you give them like kind of like a you better shut the fuck up look, and usually they will, because usually they think they're in some bubble or like we're on TV and I can't hear them. So that's that. But then like with the in-between look where you can't tell which way it's gonna go, like if they're gonna be angry or neutral or turned on, I guess, those looks disturb me. Like those are the ones where I'm like, I need to get out because I don't know what's happening. But when I can box it, I'm usually more comfortable.
Okay, so I think I have a very wonderful and lovely / crazy cousin of mine, who's a female, heterosexual female. I think she's the one who really noticed me. I think she had always acknowledged how different I was, but I think it really came to a point of concern to her when I was sort of in a very dark space, because I think there was a time in my life where I was trying to figure out who am I and why I was not like everyone else. So I sort of withdrew from everyone. I started keeping more to myself, and I think that is that time where she sort of realized she needed to reach out to me, and she reached out to me and sat me down and say, what's happening, what's wrong, you've changed, you've withdrawn. And that's when she actually asked me that question to say, are you gay? So you can really imagine coming from a community that is not really outspoken about these issues, and someone to ask you that question, as much as it was a very uncomfortable question for me, I sort of was joyed for her to ask me that question, because my mind was thinking, okay, I'm not really understanding myself, but at least for someone to have that courage to ask me that question, I think it really made me relate to her and open more to her and say, okay, I might not really understand what you mean by gay, I might not understand what gay mean, but this is how I feel and this is what is happening to me. And that is the first person that really sort of walked me through to say, as much as I might also not understand, I think I can help you figure it out and find yourself and find out what's happening.
My journey was just like kind of just do it. Like I guess I had like eased myself into coming out unintentionally. Like I was presenting very feminine and doing drag before coming out to myself as a trans woman. Like I didn't come out to myself and then keep it inside. Once I came out, I just kind of waited till the end of the summer and told more people. And then once like most of my friends knew, then I was like, here we go. Which is not the route for everyone. Some people need a little bit more ease into it. So I would just say listen to your heart and what you're comfortable with, but also don't just remain where it's comfortable. I think that life begins where comfort ends, and sometimes you do just need to take that first step, because I don't think you're growing if you're totally comfortable all the time. If you're comfortable like 100%, what are you really doing? You know? That's where I feel a lot of people get blocked, because they'll just stay in something that they're good at, or like a place where they're comfortable with people that they're comfortable with. I don't think you're growing if you're doing that. So don't be afraid to take that first step, because you'll be okay and you'll be fine. And if where you're at, like, other people aren't comfortable with you, tell them to hit the road, because that's not your problem. To quote RuPaul, other people's opinions on me are none of my business. You know, that's your thoughts. Good for you. Congrats. Like, you formed a negative opinion. Great. Keep it to yourself. Not my business. So you just kind of have to carry that attitude with you, because it's you. You might as well live as authentically as you want. Because you only get one life, you know. I think you should wake up every morning being like, yeah, it's a good day. And if the apocalypse happened to happen today, or Trump becomes president and we get immediately launched into World War III and the nuke codes come out and just hit us, I think you should be able to go out happy with yourself and show up wherever we're going to show up next and be like, I was good.
In a typical family in Africa, and specifically in Zimbabwe, once you're found out to be part of LGBT, whether you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, intersex, or any other, normally young children would actually get rejected by family, or even their own parents can actually send you away or cut you off financially or not pay your school fees. They'll do something about it. You know, in the typical African way, they'll just do something about it to really show their disapproval. But fortunately for me, I think I always say I was very blessed to be given a family that really expressed their disapproval, and them not understanding what it meant for me to say I was gay. They really embraced me and went through their own process of really not understanding it, them not approving it, to a point where they really started saying, we think we might want to understand you. To a point where they really say, okay, we think we now understand you. Also to then come to a point where they say, whether we understand you or not, we still love you as our gay child. And they really embraced me, and then started allowing me to live as me and express whichever way that I really felt like. So for me, it is that love that they gave into me that really made me realize to say, as long as you really love someone genuinely, there's nothing that is going to stand in your way. So that love they gave to me that makes me live through every day, and also make it a point to say, as long as there's still love in you, it's really possible to extend it or share it with someone and anyone, regardless of their gender, sexual orientation, race, or ethnicity, whatever it is. So it is that love that really makes me live through every day.
And this is something that's hard for parents to get. Like, you chose to have a child. You chose to be part of raising another human being. You didn't choose to have just like a worker bee, or like a slave, or a listener, or just like someone that's just there to do your bidding and be what you want them to be. They're going to follow their own path. And if you really want them to follow your ideal path, then I don't think you should be a parent, truthfully. I don't think you're like fit to have another human being be raised in your midst, because it's not your job to tell even your kid, which again is hard to tell parents. Like, it's not your job to tell your kid how their life is going to go. You just have to make sure they're not hurting themselves and they're happy, and your best way of doing that is to help them to grow and help them be okay.